Hello, my name is Matthew Mount, and I'm here in my study to tell you about secessionist parties. That's right. Secessionist parties are political parties that desire to break away from a nation, and in the case of the United States, a secessionist party would perhaps like to form a country out of a state or a territory in which the party embodies. One of which that has been around for many decades is the Alaskan Independence Party. That's right. Alaskan Independence Party promotes a smiling polar bear with the phrase, Alaska first, Alaska always. They try to argue for the case that Alaska should have had the democratic vote to become a state, a territory, or even their own nation. And in fact, Texas has 4 secessionist parties themselves. That means that there's actually 4 different parties in Texas looking for the right to become a nation. And the question that emerges is if secessionism will be a growing phenomenon with the budget crisis and the crisis of the national debt. The question of what taxes could be like in government services in the future is really all up in the air. Will we have the government services that we have today in the future, and will we have to pay more taxes in the future compared to what we pay now? These are all real good questions because if, for example, taxpayers feel that they're paying way too much, and if, for example, citizens feel that they're not getting enough services from the government, then there could be more movement for secessionist parties, more interest in secessionism. And the question is, how will this affect the political landscape of the United States? Will this cause any particular problems? Today, for example, there is a problem in the United States, maybe not a big one, of non-citizens. People that had never been, let's say, born in a hospital, that had never received a Social Security number, and are thus considered to be non-citizens. They're not actually citizens of any country. Thus, they could not get a passport, move out of the country legally, and move into another one. Actually, not a citizen of any country. And, we see this kind of activity particularly in developing nations and especially in the Middle East. This kind of problem of non-citizens actually would take the form of refugees in that case, like with the Palestinian refugees, people that were previously in the land of Israel, but now they've been put into a refugee status because they no longer have their land, because they've been pushed out of their previously inhabited land. And so the question that can emerge is if, for example, groups like the Amish have their own settlements and do not pay taxes, what is to say that other such groups would not want the same rights of independence? to have a settlement and to not pay taxes, to not officially belong to an organized country, where education is homeschool or done by the settlement, and where the settlement basically takes care of all the needs of its citizens. And so these are some questions to consider, especially when we read the New Testament and look at the life of Jesus Christ and the ministry, the idea of him ushering in the kingdom of God. The question that emerges then is, was this indeed a secessionist movement, a movement to have a government of God per se? Or was it a movement to restore the kingdom of Israel on earth? I think most, however, would claim that it was neither. It was actually a movement to have a heavenly kingdom that had perhaps no earthly component. And so these are questions that I'll leave you with, something to think about. And thank you for watching.